Judge Sonia Sotomayor's confirmation hearings begin in a couple of hours. Senators will start questioning her on what she means when she says her goal is fidelity to the law. Our next guest, Republican Senator Orrin, said in Monday's opening statement that, quote, there must be a vigorous debate about the kind of judge America needs because nothing less than our liberty is at stake. Is judicial impartiality a duty or an option? And Senator Hatch joins us now from Washington. Senator, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks for being with us.
Nice to be with you again.
You saw Judge Sotomayor yesterday at the committee pledge that a judge's job is, quote, not to make law, but it is to apply the law. Does that put your mind at ease over any concerns that you might have?
Well, you know, that's fine, except that's not the way she's acted from time to time, nor is that the way she has spoken from time to time. So we need to get into that and make sure that that's not just a slogan, but something that literally she believes in. You know, when she made that comment down at Duke University that, well, you know, judges can make law, that was, and then joked about it. You know, I can understand that. I think she's going to have to distinguish that. But it was a serious comment that shouldn't have been made by any Circuit Court of Appeals judge.
So will you be asking her about that today?
Actually, I think what will be covered here today, by and large, will be questions about, you know, affirmative action, questions about the Second Amendment, questions about property rights in our society today. At least that's what I think are the main areas. There will be a lot of questions about what the word empathy means and whether it means that she's going to allow her sympathy for people to override what really ought to be done. Actually, her cases don't seem to do that. So, but you know, some of her statements indicated that maybe she will.
Yeah, I mean, let me ask you about that, because that does promise to be a big issue today, particularly since the ranking Republican on the committee, Jeff Sessions, said, call it empathy, call it prejudice, call it sympathy, whatever it is not law. Where do you come down on this whole issue of empathy?
Well, the whole oath that judges take is to be impartial, to not allow empathy or emotions or anything else to get in the way of the law. Now, at the end of her opening remarks, she said that she would apply that particular standard, but in her speeches around the country and in some of the cases that she's written, there's some indication that maybe she has not done that in the past. So this is something that naturally has to be gone into, and, you know, when we get judges, look, we don't expect President Obama to appoint a conservative judge or even a moderate judge. We expect him to appoint somebody who's pretty liberal, and she is. But the fact of the matter is we expect that judge to be fair. We expect her to be a person who will apply the law, not make the law. And we expect her to not allow her own personal sympathy or empathy or approaches towards life to color decisions in ways that really are not just or right. And so those are some of the issues that come up. You take the Ritchie case. There are some really interesting facts there. For instance, she and her other two judges issued what was called a summary order. That's an order that doesn't have to be shared with the rest of the people in that circuit. The only way that it was found out about was when Judge Jose Cabranes read it in the newspaper, so he asked to look at that case and then realized, my gosh, this is a case of first impression. Right. This ought to have at least an opinion written about it, and it shouldn't be just swept aside like there was nothing to it.
We should just point out for folks at home that the Ritchie case is DeStefano versus Ritchie. It's the firefighters case in New Haven.
Well, it's a case. Right. It's a case involving reverse discrimination. We shouldn't have discrimination against anybody, and that includes these firefighters who paid the price and took the test and did real well and should have had the job, but were stopped from getting the job because the mayor and others were afraid that they'd be sued for what you call disparate impact.
Senator, let me just come back to this issue of empathy, because you said it's unacceptable for a judge to use empathy in influencing a case when it comes down on one side or another. If I could just paraphrase you, I hope I got it correct there. But back in his 2006 confirmation, Judge Sam Alito said, quote, when I get a case about discrimination, I have to think about people in my own family who suffered discrimination because of their ethnic background or because of religion or because of gender. I do take that into account. Justice Thomas, during his confirmation, said that he thought that he could walk in the shoes of people who are affected by what the court does. Those are both Republican presidential nominees. They were voted on by Republicans. They were confirmed to the bench. The Republicans seem to be pretty comfortable that they wouldn't use their background or their empathy to unfairly judge a case. Why do you think Judge Sotomayor would?
Well, they both made it very clear that they were not going to allow personal empathy or personal sympathy to color their opinions with regard to various cases in the law. And I suspect that Judge Sotomayor will distinguish that herself and say that, look, I will have empathy. I can't get rid of the fact that I feel deeply about people, and I don't think she should. But if she allows her empathy to turn cases that should be decided otherwise into cases for, you know, for reasons that are not applicable in the law, then that's what we're concerned about. And in the case of both Alito and Thomas, they haven't done that.
Now, you voted for her confirmation to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals in 1998. Do you expect, in the end, that you will vote for her confirmation here as well?
Well, I lean towards voting for and supporting the president's nominees, and I think that the presidents deserve that. That's what we get when we get a president. Like I say, President Obama is not going to appoint somebody who isn't liberal, so we got to expect that. So I think we need to at least try to give every opportunity we can to his nominees, but she's going to have to answer some of these questions, and if she doesn't answer them in an appropriate way, yeah, I could vote against her, but frankly, you know, I do lean in favor of supporting the president and supporting her. And I like her. She has a wonderful life story, and you know, her cases, though liberal in many respects, are still well written, and I think plausible decision-making.
Senator Orrin of Utah, it's always great to talk to you. Thanks for stopping by this morning. We look forward to the hearings later on this morning.